Whether you just started doing learning presentation or that was part of your L&D responsibilities long before that, there's a simple truth you may have learned. Visuals dominate our world. And while almost everyone has experienced bad presentations, do we really know what is the secret to phenomenal visuals that help create engaging and memorable learning experiences? Hello and welcome to the L&D Academy's channel. I'm Irina, a learning and development consultant with over a decade of experience in the field. And today we're exploring top 10 tips for designing compelling visuals for learning sessions. You don't have to be a graphic designer to create great visuals. You may be a seasoned webinar host or a beginner trainer dipping your toes into the world of presentations, online or not. But either way, this video will equip you with practical tips on creating compelling visuals for any learning experience, like a training, workshop, webinar, and so on. So let's unravel the art of visual communication one slide at a time. First things first, we need to be clear on the presentation structure. There are several slides you need to consider. The first one is a starting slide. This is the initial visual your audience sees as they log in or come into the room. Make it inviting and relevant to your topic. Next, you need to have a title slide. This is where you introduce the session's topic and yourself. In a way, this sets the stage for what's to come. Another very important slide you need to have is the agenda one. Tell your audience what they can expect from the webinar or the session. Explain what's first, second, third. This keeps them tuned in and anticipating what's next. I also always include something called a navigation or subheading slide. For example, if I'm running a session on feedback, each subtopic like listening, asking questions, responding to feedback will have a separate navigational or subheading slide. This really helps guide your audience through your presentation journey by displaying where in the presentation you are at any moment. The next type of slide is essentially the meat of your presentation, also known as the content slides. This is where the magic happens. These are the main slides in your presentation where you deliver your information. There are several subtypes within this category. The most common one are the text and image slides. The former feature bullet points, numbered lists, or key quotes. We have a lot to say about these slides, so keep watching. The image slides are used for things like photos, diagrams, infographics, and so on. A great way to keep your audience engaged is to use interactive slides. These can include a single word on a slide, quotes, conceptual images, questions, quizzes, or prompts for discussion to engage your audience and encourage participation, and it can also have video clips. Speaking of which, try to stick to no more than 2 to 3 minutes long videos, otherwise you risk losing your audience's attention. Towards the end of your presentation, you would usually include a recap or summary slide. This reinforces the key points from your session, ensuring the audience retains the critical takeaways. And sometimes you might also need a separate Q&A slide. This invites your audience to ask questions and to provide feedback. The slide often comes towards the end and fosters a sense of interaction and community, but you can also have it throughout. And in some cases, you may also need to have a separate conclusion or call to action slide. This is where you summarize your main messages and encourage your audience to take some action, like trying out a new strategy or visiting a website. Finally, the last slide you will need is one with your contact information or a simple thank you. This not only signals to your audience that the session is over, but it also concludes it by thanking them for their attention, for their time, and of course, providing your contact information for future engagement. Now that you know what your presentation needs to include, let's dive deep into the top tips for designing compelling visuals. And we'll begin with tip number 1, use a visual hierarchy. This means that you need to guide the viewer side to the most important elements first. The rule of thumb is to follow a Z pattern that our eyes follow naturally. Start at the top left corner, proceed to the top right corner, move diagonally to the bottom left corner, and finish at the bottom right corner. For maximum impact, place your information on this path. This is not the only way to guide the viewer's eye though, because you can also use varying sizes, shapes, colors, and positions of the elements on your slide. Be bold and experiment to see what works best for your content. Tip number 2, keep it simple. When it comes to visuals, less is more. Your audience should focus on what you're saying, not what's written or displayed on the slide. That's why any visual clutter, be that a clutter of images, text, or shapes, can take away meaning from your slides because they turn into distractions. It's a good practice to stick to a single idea or concept per slide. This will ensure your message is heard, it is clear, and easily digestible. Instead of having multiple elements together on a single slide, separate them. You don't need a graph, bullet points, an image, and a block of text. And speaking of this, specifically for this last one, you should never have a big block of text on your slides. If you're tempted to put it there, put it in the notes where people won't see it. The only exception would be a quote. But even then, try to shorten it as much as possible. Tip number 3, use consistent design elements. When your visuals are consistent in color, fonts, image style, and design layout, your presentation looks cohesive and professional. Follow a consistent approach not only in the big things like colors and fonts, but in the little ones as well. Titles, headlines, sentence capitalization, and so on. If your company uses specific brand colors or has its own presentation template, use those. If you're not restricted by a company template, we recommend our favorite template library, SlidesGo. They have both free and paid templates and infographics, so there is something for everyone. The link to SlidesGo is down in the description, and no, we're not sponsored by them, we just really like what they have to offer. Tip number 4, less text, more visuals. This tip is fairly simple. Use as little text as possible. Replace it with visual elements such as images, graphs, charts, and infographics to communicate your message. Curious how to turn text into graphs? Well, head over to our other favorite library, Presentation Go. They have graphs for anything you can think of. Charts and diagrams, text and tables, timelines and planning, graphics, metaphors, maps, you name it. Best of all, it's completely free, though we strongly encourage you to donate as much as you can so the good folks at Presentation Go can keep the website running. Again, we are not sponsored by them, and you can find the link in the description down below. Here's an additional tip. We like to remove all default placeholders on a slide and start with a blank slate. This way, we're not tied down to the default design layout. And we should also be extra careful when we add different elements because we need to carefully think what value each of them adds. For example, should the company logo be on every slide? Do we need a title everywhere? Can this bullet list be turned into something more engaging like a graph? But what happens if you have to have some text on your slide? Well, then make sure it's readable, even on a mobile device. Make sure the font is at least 16 points, even better if it's 22 points, and stick to no more than 5 to 6 bullet points per slide. Anything above this number turns into clutter and makes it less memorable. Speaking of less is more, we have to talk about white space. That is all the space on your slide that is not occupied by an image, text, or graph. It's essentially the empty space without any content. White space allows your design to breathe, to feel more spacious. A clean, uncluttered slide helps your audience focus on the key message. Some advertisers have even stated that white space creates a higher perceived value and imparts a feeling of luxury. It sharpens the viewer's focus by isolating elements. Use white space effectively to create a balance between the elements on your slide. Simplicity often leads to greater clarity and understanding. Tip number 5, use typography to your advantage. The fonts you use can make or break your presentation. They communicate beyond the words they form. Did you know that over 500,000 fonts exist in the world? So how do you pick the right ones? Well, for one, try to use 1 or 2 fonts for the entire deck. It might be tempting to use those fancy fonts your computer comes with or download some off of the internet, but the simple truth is that your presentation doesn't need it. Choose fonts that reflect the tone of your presentation. When it comes to choosing the font or font combinations, stick to sans serif fonts. Those are without the little lines on the top and bottom of some letters, because they are easier to read on screen. Examples of these are Arial and Calibri. Where sans serif fonts are more modern and fun, you can use serif fonts like Palatino and Garamount for when you need your text to look more elegant or classy. You can also use script fonts for when you want to be more personal and show a more human side, but we'll let you explore those by yourself. Overall, combine different fonts sparingly and thoughtfully. What if you want to emphasize something? In that case, try to use bold text rather than underlining. It's cleaner and draws the eye enough without overwhelming the viewer. Tip number 6, use color and contrast wisely. Color and contrast can be used to highlight important points and guide your audience's attention. Stick to a limited color palette. Just like before, we err on the side of consistency. Use the same 1 or 2 primary colors and not more than 2, maybe 3 complementary colors throughout your deck. We recommend using colors that best align with your brand's visual identity. You need to have a healthy contrast between the text and the background. The default white background and black text are a cliché for a reason. It's easy to read and doesn't strain the eyes. Contrast is key for anyone with visual impairment, so use light-dark contrast to help them as much as possible. When it comes to text and background, there are also some combinations you want to avoid, like red and green, red and blue, and orange and blue. These colors interfere with each other and can seem to shake on the screen. Tip number 7, use high-quality, relevant images. Seeing a low-quality pixelated image with a watermark or an outdated clip art on a presentation slide makes it look unprofessional. That's why if you want to use images, make sure they are high quality. And to elevate your visual game to the next level, ensure all the images you use are in a similar style and color palette. They should look like the same photographer took all the pictures, even if that's not actually the case. The same is true for any graphics you use. A great source of similar-looking illustrations can be found on StorySet. Just pick a style, change the color, and download the graphics you need. And remember, less is more. Do you really need all 4 or 5 graphics on the same slide? Are they connected to each other and tell a story? Or do they distract and take away from your message? If you want to learn more about StorySet, check out their link in the description down below. Again, we are not sponsored by them, we just like to promote good work, especially when it's free. Finally, while it can be tempting to pick the first image that pops into your search results, it's much better to spend time and go for images that are relevant and not as cliche. For example, instead of using a bullseye to illustrate a goal, why not go for something less obvious, less conventional? Your images should be there to trigger emotions, illustrate a point, or provide context. At the end of the day, an image's relevance is more important than its aesthetic appeal. Tip number 8, use icons and symbols. Icons and symbols can simplify complex ideas, making them quick to understand. They're great for summarizing information or drawing attention to key points. Make sure they're uniformly designed and large enough to be easily discerned. Tip number 9, incorporate data visualization. We often need to present data, and the simplest way to do that is to just paste the graph that represents our data. But there is a better way. Any graph, like a pie chart or a bar graph, represents the what of the data. What you need to find is the why and the how, and then spin a narrative from that. What made the numbers go up or down? How will people be affected by that? Having said that, however, keep in mind that sometimes the best chart is no chart at all. If there is a single number that conveys the message loud and strong, make it loud and strong on the slide as well. You can show this number as big as possible on the screen. If you want to share several elements related to the same thing, for example, tips on how to design compelling images for a webinar, consider displaying a diagram that shows how parts of a whole work together. All visual aids like graphs, charts, and infographics should be used whenever you want to simplify complex information and data. But you need to be careful too. Any visual elements you use in your slide deck need to be well designed, easy to understand, and accurately labeled. Tip number 10, use animations and transitions sparingly. Movements draw the eye. Both great film directors and popular YouTubers know this. That's what animations allow you to do, add movement to your visuals. But just like everything we've discussed so far, less is more. Think of it this way. If you add every kind of animation, it would be like seasoning your dish with every spice available in the pantry. So let's untangle this animation mess. You should use animation when you want to reveal content gradually, or emphasize key points, visualize data like a step-by-step process, a graph, a chart, or reveal how things are put together. Or maybe when you want to tell a story, compare and contrast, or show direction. If you're adding an animation and it doesn't tick either of these boxes, then just remove it. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And let's assume that you've determined a proper need for the animation. Which one should you choose? Well, there are just so many. The rule of thumb is to use natural animations, not busy, flashy, or frantic ones. Our favorite animations are appear, fade, wipe, and the occasional motion path. This is where you control the movement of an object on the screen. Also, if you're going to use animation throughout your deck, make sure it's the same one on all slides. Having multiple different animations can be very distracting. And these are our top 10 tips. You may have deduced by now that you don't need to be a graphic design wizard to create compelling visuals. Stick to some basics. Structure your presentation, keep your slides simple and visually consistent, limit your text and use more visual elements, harness the power of typography, leverage color and contrast, and use high-quality images that resonate with your message. Icons and symbols can distill complex ideas into easily digestible nuggets of information, while data visualization can simplify complex data and make it more palatable. And of course, remember to use animations and transitions sensibly to enhance your message, not distract from it. From captivating starting slides to engaging interactive slides, every image you use, every color you choose, and every word you write can make a world of difference in creating an unforgettable learning experience. One slide at a time, you have the power to transform your learning sessions from mundane monologue into an immersive visual journey that leaves your audience yearning for more. How do you design compelling visuals for your learning interventions? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you reach the end of this video, you are eligible to play one of our running games. Head over to the comment section and leave an emoji that best describes what you thought of the video. We respond to each and every comment, so we'll send you an emoji back. Thanks again for being here until the very end. If you enjoyed our content, please consider liking and subscribing for more L&D related stuff. And let us know in the comments down below what other topics do you want to learn more about. Thanks again for being here, good luck with your presentations, and I'll see you in the next one.